Hello, everybody, and welcome into the Monday show. It's Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light. I'm Barry McKnight. John will be in just a moment. He's already checked in. We have got a lot of things we need some clarification on here. First of all, hello, everybody. Welcome. This is in conjunction with Yellowhammer News and brought to you by Bud Light. The basketball was big over the weekend. The NFL Pro Bowl and the Senior Bowl did what they did. Not really all that impactful. And basketball was really, really good. So probably not going to talk a lot about the Senior Bowl. Probably not going to talk a lot about the Pro Bowl and the games and the silliness of that. But it was a good weekend for basketball. It was a big weekend for Auburn and for Alabama. Auburn goes to Ole Miss and wins by 10. Alabama hosts Georgia. Zero problem with them as we welcome in John Longshore on the program today. Let's get him
going on there. Yeah.
Maybe
I think I came on too early today. Actually hit the link at like 6:35 today. Maybe that was the problem. I was too early today.
Man, what was it? What did the Aubs get on probation? Was it could be one of many things.
Yeah. But I don't know what happened there, but
out of
glad to see everybody has said this. Good morning and hello, and man, good Monday to everybody. Kicking off a brand new week.
Out of everything we could possibly bring on this show, that's an absolutely sure thing. The most sure thing possibly was, John, did you watch any of the Senior Bowl?
I did not. But
John, did you watch any of the Pro Bowl?
I did not. I later on today, I'm going to tell you something I did watch over the weekend that I think is going to really surprise you, but I'll get into that a little later. But to answer your questions, no. I did not. I read some accounts of the Senior Bowl, and they basically were what I was expecting. The accounts of how the game played out. But I'm not an all-star guy. The baseball all-star game, maybe I might watch a little bit of it because it's the middle of summer and nothing else is going on. The NBA, not a chance. In the Pro Bowl, is it even a game? It's like a skills competition or something. So, no. There again, this is the worst weekend if you're a football fan. And we talked about it, a week or so ago. Hey, play the national championship this weekend. Why not? Heck, in 2 years, it's going to be on the 25th of January anyway. So maybe that would be a good idea.
We'll get into all of that in the basics a little bit later on. According to Nick Kelly, who, by the way, is the sports writer of the year in the state of Alabama this upcoming year. He writes for AL.com. He says for the fourth, and I'll quote this, much credit to AL.com, for the fourth consecutive season, Alabama football will have a different man running its offense. In 2025, Ryan Grubb will take over as offensive coordinator. Sources with knowledge of the hire told AL.com on Sunday. Nick Sheridan was there last year, Tommy Reese the year before that, Bill O'Brien before that. So what happens with Nick Sheridan? Well, how does this work? Who will be the starting quarterback? What will the running game look like? Can the offensive line improve?
Seattle, I'm not expecting much, but we didn't have a lot last year either to look at in terms of the running game. So I'm not sure that's going to be a huge improvement, but maybe it will. My first question, Barry, is what took so long? I mean, this thing's been floating around for 3 or 4 weeks. I mean, what's the deal? I find that very interesting. I mean, Ryan Grubb was fired a while ago. Was he looking for looking elsewhere? Was he looking for an NFL job? Does he really want to be in Tuscaloosa? Is this a long-term deal? Maybe that's why Nick Sheridan's still on the staff. Maybe Ryan Grubb in a long-term deal. Who knows? I do know Sheridan is under a 3-year contract at about $500,000 a year. So he is still on the staff. All reports are he'll remain on the staff now. In what position? He originally was the tight ends coach, but I believe they've got somebody filling that area as well. But the guy's making $1.5 million thereabout for the next 2 years, so they're going to find something for him to do.
He was the offensive coordinator, you may remember, for Alabama for about a week or two, maybe two, before he got the job with the Seahawks. The Seahawks were middle of the road. I mean, they weren't bad offensively. I'm not a huge believer in the upside for Geno Smith. And then he got fired. And then, what was it, 3 weeks, which is an eternity in the college coaching profession. And now he's back as offensive coordinator. Does it sound like he said, Kalen, I'm telling you, I love you, buddy. Gosh, we could do great things. Let me look around a little bit in the NFL, see what kind of comes down the pipe. John used to use this same approach when it came to senior prom. I tell you, honey, I appreciate your interest. I really do. I really do. You're a nice girl, great personality. But I tell you what, give me a week, and I'll get back to you. Yeah. And basically, what he's doing is seeing if that head cheerleader still is cutting eyes at him in the cafeteria. You know. Well, by the time John was a senior, he'd been driving to lunch for 2.5 years.
Yeah,
so never
no
mind.
kidding.
Yeah.
So, in all fairness, Barry, you've known me a long time. In all fairness, I feel like I've got to make this statement because I know I would have probably made it if it was involving any other school or team. Was anybody else knocking this guy's door down?
There it is. There it is.
Was the phone ringing off the hook?
Consider this story notarized. And somebody sign off. There wasn't a real story. It didn't really happen until John says, this guy, who was after him? That's what legitimizes the whole thing.
30 plus years, I've always asked that question. Who else wanted this guy? I mean, is that what took 3 or 4 weeks? Were there other people out there negotiating, making some deals? He laid them all out on the table to figure out which was the best one, or did he just, after 3 or 4 weeks, go, geez, I better grab this gig. It's the only one I'm getting.
Yeah, he's on the phone with his agent, and he tells it, look, you got to get me something. I'm dying on the vine here. You get something. Really? There's nothing? Offensive line coach? Giants? Any? No?
I'm not saying that's the way it went down, but, you've got to ask these type questions, You got to peel all the layers back. I do think, though, basing getting the feel, getting a temperature on Tighter Insider message board, and that's where you go. I mean, let's face it. I mean, that's where you can get the feel of how Bama fan is feeling. They seem pretty geeked up about this. They're pretty hyped. Now, I don't know how much research they've done. I don't really know if they broke down every offensive play the Seahawks ran last year. Maybe went back and looked at some old Washington Husky film. Who knows? But on the surface, Barry, they're pretty excited at Tighter Insider.
Well, and I can get it. I mean, he did great things. There's no question. I am not downplaying him. The question is, if John's asked that question, is there a Michael Penix on this staff? I mean, on this roster? There is, but he's just a freshman, and you can work with him, from what I understand. So there is clay to work with. Is Ty Simpson all goose pimply about this? Is Ty Simpson, could he not sleep last night when the news came down? So, oh boy, this is going to be great. Austin Mack, Keelan Russell, Steins with Alabama, 5-star quarterback. They tell me one of the great players in the history of Texas high school football. And before he even gets into his first full month on campus, if he is indeed on campus, They're already changing offensive coordinators on him. You go, wait. What does he do? How's it going to look? How is this playing over? Obviously, it looks as though the fans are excited.
Mm-hmm.
Are the players excited? Was all of that? Was there a necessity for a change, or is it just getting the band back together?
Yeah,
again?
I think it's kind of getting the band back together. I mean, Sheridan was on the staff with DeBoer and Grubb. I mean, they know one another. They had a couple of spots together, I believe. I want to say,
oh yeah,
Sheridan might have even been as far back as Indiana and ran in those areas.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously they get along. I mean, this group can work together. I do find it interesting where you put your offensive coordinator now, since a new one is coming in, how they're going to fill those roles. I think that's going to be real interesting. But the players, they don't know Grubb. So I don't know how they could, maybe they're excited. Maybe, they think the offense might need a little spark too. There again, I think a lot of it was who was taking the snaps. I think the playbook was limited. I think they could only do so much with Jalen Milroe, and maybe with a new quarterback, with a new offensive coordinator, they can expand that more and get that offense a little bit more prolific, high octane. But, he's got a lot of guys to work with. He just, as you mentioned, he's got to mold the clay together.
Now, Tobias says, remember when I said Grubb let Sheridan get tarred and feather after coaching Milroe for him to come in as the savior? Grubb was here for about 2 or 3 weeks. Maybe some of the players remember him. Hey, remember that dude who was here? Well, he's back. This seems like, for him, kind of a better set of circumstances than if he just comes in with DeBoer. The fans are sitting back saying, all right, we'll see how he does with it. We'll see whether this staff can match the old staff. And if they don't play especially well early, we're gonna turn on him, as opposed to now where he comes in on the white hump. Whoa, ladies and gentlemen, I am here to save the day, and everybody's like, oh, he came back. I think this is a better circumstance for him to come in as the savior rather than them looking at him and saying, all right. Well, I hear you did some things at Washington.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Let's look ahead, Barry, to I don't have my calendar yet. You usually send me those calendars with the helmets on them, of the whole season.
I need to get you those.
Those helmet schedules.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know the exact day that Alabama goes to Tallahassee to take on Florida State in the opener.
Yeah.
But if they go into Tallahassee and struggle or even lose, and Seminole offensive coordinator Gus Malzahn out schemes and out play calls Ryan Grubb.
As if he's ever done that before. As if he's ever out schemed Alabama, please.
That could be tough. Help me with this. And maybe this is just an obvious answer, but when I read it, it had me going, In an article, I think you referenced it, Michael Casagrande today, writing a piece in AL.com about DeBoer has his Robin back. Can Ryan Grubb make it work at Alabama? Goes through all the scenarios, what he thinks, this, that, and the other. Talks about some of the players that'll be at his disposal. Talking about Grubb, Ty Simpson, Austin Mack, Keelan Russell, a couple of those guys, Ryan Williams. This paragraph there again, maybe it's just so obvious that I can't see my hand for the forest for the trees.
Yeah.
He says, this is a derby of the Saban recruit who stuck it out. The transferred DeBoer recruited to Washington, and the highest rated Alabama recruit ever, but a true freshman. Who is the highest rated recruit ever?
Is that Keelan Russell? Whoa.
Well, was Julio Jones not the highest rated recruit ever?
Derrick Henry wants a word with you, Mr. Casagrande.
I mean, I read that and I'm thinking Nick Saban had a lot of highly rated recruits coming in.
This guy's the best. If I'm him, if I'm that kid, if I'm Keelan Russell, I don't want that smoke myself, Yikes.
Somebody
Interesting.
Somebody hit up on the chat line if you know who that highest recruit ever may be. I just
Saturday, August 30th, Doak Campbell Stadium, Tallahassee, Florida. And the A-Day game doesn't count. A-Day game, everybody's in raptures. And, I love him and all that.
Sure.
So, I remember doing an A-Day game. And you know who? Terry Grant was the MVP. Terry Grant. So, don't worry about A-Day.
Man.
But Florida State at Doak Campbell, Saturday, August the 30th. If they don't have at least 450 in total offense.
And I'm already going ahead, Barry, and saying that game's not going to be at night because I believe Ohio State and Texas are playing that day as well. They're in week one, non-conference game. If I'm not mistaken, I thought I saw that.
Oh, yeah, maybe you're right. I don't know.
So I don't think that.
I never get in John's way in terms of future schedules. I always defer to him on that. He loves them.
So I'm going to say that's an afternoon game. Could be even hotter in Tallahassee.
Yeah.
But who knows? I'm just spitballing, guessing there. Tobias says Bryce Young was the highest rated recruit until they signed Keelan Russell. I got to do a little more research on Keelan Russell. I mean, I know I've heard a lot of great stuff about it, but the highest rated recruit ever?
Part of this is probably because John and I, the recruiting stuff has changed, even from when Bryce Young was in Alabama, which wasn't that long ago. You don't see as much hype as you used to. I mean, it's in December. Most everybody knows ahead of time. The transfer portal kind of takes a lot of the juice away from high school. Maybe he is. But if I'm Keelan Russell, I don't want any of that. Ty mentions that Derrick Henry was from Florida. Yeah, he was. He's from Yulee. Yeah. He still is from but yikes. Ryan Grubb, the new offensive coordinator. I didn't think that was going to happen, quite frankly. I thought if it hadn't happened yet, it ain't happening now. Also,
there again, I don't know what took so long, Barry. Maybe I'm looking too much into it. Maybe I should, this conspiracy theory guy and how many guys were on the grassy knoll. I mean, all that stuff.
Please don't turn over a new leaf that you're going to be more patient. Please don't do that. No. Say it ain't so. Well,
so you also mentioned the Senior Bowl. We'll go into our first break and chew on this. But Chris the Bammer must have watched the game because he wasn't impressed with what he saw out of Jalen Milroe saying on our chat line today, second or third day.
Well, Theoda says Milroe better get that property and casualty license. He's going to be selling insurance. We got a lot to get to. He's John Longshore. I'm Barry McKnight. In association with Yellowhammer News, it's Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light.
Don't miss your chance to win big at Victoryland Casino. Play the latest, hottest, most exciting games around with fun bonuses and big jackpots. Don't miss out on your free play. Stop by Player Rewards today and check out this month's exciting free play promotions. Come see why our players keep coming back. You'll have more fun at Victoryland Casino, where you can be a winner too. Victoryland Casino, located off I-85 exit 22, Shorter, Alabama. Must be 21 or older.
In sports, if you think joy only happens after you win, think again. Look at the world's most successful athletes like Serena Williams, Brooks Koepka, and Alex Morgan. They don't spend all their days grinding away. They take time to enjoy themselves, like getting together with friends over a Michelob Ultra, because they know that happiness is the key to winning, and that joy is the whole game, not just the end game. Michelob Ultra. 95 calories, 2.6 grams of carbs. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. Enjoy responsibly. AB Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Hey, this is Barry McKnight from Longshore and McKnight, telling you about our friends at River Region Straw. You're not buying sticks or stems and pine cones. You're buying premium long needle pine straw from River Region Straw. Kenny and his staff have access to the best pine straw in the River Region, full of color, that'll last all season long. They've got locations in Montgomery, Prattville, and Auburn, and no order is too big or too small. From a few bales to an 18-wheeler trailer load, River Region Straw also has seasoned firewood for the cold days and nights ahead. Pickup is available, and your order can be delivered if you like. They can even spread your pine straw if that's what you want to have happen, for sure. Call or text Kenny today, 669-5959. That's $59.59 for all of your pine straw and firewood needs at River Region Straw. Back again with Longshore and McKnight. It is our Monday show.
Turn that off. Yeah.
Yep. There you go.
As I was saying, brought to you by our good friends at Bud Light. Easy to drink, easy to enjoy in association with Yellowhammer News. Check them out at yellowhammernews.com. Always a write-up here about the program each and every afternoon. You can check that out with some video content as well. So check it out. You can watch us at yellowhammernews.com. You can watch us on YouTube. Check us out on Facebook, Instagram, Spotify. But make sure you hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and tell all of your friends, business associates, even your enemies. Tell them. Well, we want them to watch too.
Yeah, maybe they'll learn something and maybe you'll like them again. You know, maybe you'll have something in common and say, man, can you believe Longshore was asking why in the world it took so long to hire Ryan Grubb? Yeah, I didn't know what in the world that was all about. And then they hug each other, hug it out and everything. And all right, I like you. It could be that. You know, friendship formed around this program.
Only in the state of Alabama, and I'm sure this will probably go on elsewhere around the state today, was the first story of the day. And I know we kind of highlighted some of the weekend basketball action, but the hiring of an offensive coordinator dominated the first 15 minutes before we really broke down Saturday's Auburn and Alabama basketball action.
You mean between games involving the number 1 and number 4 basketball teams in the entire country?
Yeah, soon to be number 3. I think. Did Iowa State get beat at home or something like that?
The entirety of it all, it just kind of boggles the mind the way things happen. Iowa State got beat bad by they got beat by 19 at home to Kansas State, and Kansas State was 10-11. So look for Iowa State to got beat by a team with a losing record at home by 19. Auburn had some difficulties, but ended up pulling away from Ole Miss in Oxford, 92-82. Hopefully Robbie can swallow his disappointment that Auburn won again. Robbie's point is that Auburn beat LSU badly because LSU turned it over a lot. Ole Miss isn't going to turn it over a lot, therefore Auburn's going to lose. Janai Broom had 20. Dylan Cardwell had maybe his best game. Alabama just blew up Georgia.
It was tight there for a minute. I mean, it got single digits.
Yeah, Alabama led by double digits at halftime. Scored 51 in the second half at home and ended up winning it 90-69. Mark Sears is back in everybody's good graces. He scored 20, had 6 assists in that game for the Crimson Tide, who, by the way, has a little bit of a breather. Last week, Auburn didn't play midweek. This week, Alabama has the midweek off before they go to Arkansas on Saturday night as the second half of an ESPN doubleheader. Remember back in February years ago, 12, 15 years, 20 years ago when you and I were working together, Auburn and Alabama playing back-to-back was on College Sports Southeast or something like that. Nothing wrong with that. I was the lead guy for that. But nowadays, ESPN, Auburn will host number 5 Florida, who got drilled at home against Tennessee over the weekend. That's at 3 on Saturday on ESPN. Alabama and Arkansas from Fayetteville is at 7. Auburn does play midweek. As a matter of fact, they go back home. The Tigers will play Oklahoma tomorrow night. 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock. Oof. They got Vandy, Florida as the 6 o'clock game. Auburn, Oklahoma at 8 tomorrow.
8 o'clock. So Bama got the week off, basically. No midweek game. Correct. Don't play till the weekend. How satisfying, Barry, do you think it was for Calipari to go to Rupp Arena and beat Kentucky? That had to be quite satisfying for him. I mean, this team had struggled. People are throwing stones at Calipari. He's lost it. Can't get it done. And he goes into the Rupp, beats his former employer with 3 of their former players. I love what one of them had to say when he was asked about winning in Rupp, and I forgot which player it was for Arkansas, but he goes, hey, it's like home to us. We're used to this place. It's not intimidating. We know a lot about it. But, I got to think Kentucky fan, the Big Blue Nation, whoa, they were not happy Saturday night.
Well, especially because Arkansas equaled their conference win total for the year in just that game. Arkansas came in 1-6. Coach Cal this, Coach Cal that. You know, the Kentucky Big Blue faithful, the Big Blue Nation chased him out because he just could not, win another championship with the way. And he goes and he takes his new players. I mean, they got several freshmen that play for Arkansas, and they win by 10. I bet Cal, he must have had a little up yours in his system, at least in his thoughts,
He hit more threes than they had all season prior to the game Saturday night. I mean, it was like a different team. Yeah. But, I mean, go with you. How the split, how it happened, high profile, goes to another SEC school, first time meeting, going back to your old stomping grounds, and you beat Kentucky. I know that did not go over well.
Well, it was not a really competitive weekend in the SEC. It's so tight, and there have been some absolute rock fights in the SEC. But over the weekend, Alabama wins by 21. Auburn wins by 10. Arkansas goes to Kentucky, wins by 10. Texas beats LSU by 31. Oklahoma beats, Oklahoma beats Vanderbilt by 30.
30?
Missouri wins at Mississippi. We got to talk to Bart Heisch. Missouri wins at Mississippi State by 27. And Tennessee beats Florida by 20. Well, it was blowout weekend.
Yeah, it was
a
SEC, and
I don't know why.
Well, Barry, once again, and I'm just calling it like I see it.
Sure.
But I said this months ago that I think Auburn is, and I will say this. I watched a little of the Duke. I watched some sporting events this weekend that I just don't think you think I would have watched. The little lady was out of town, and so I'm thinking, I was a little bored. I was a little lonesome. You think,
she keeps you entertained.
Yeah, it's like, honey, have a good time, whatever, great. See you when you get home. And then when she's gone, it's kind of like, this kind of sucks. Wait a minute.
What do I do?
I should have planned. I got to watch stuff I don't normally watch. I've already cleaned the house up once and whatever. But I watched a little bit of the North Carolina Duke game.
Y'all guys think he's kidding about cleaning up the house. The man is a neat freak, I'm telling you. Anyway, sorry. He ain't joking.
I haven't mowed the lawn and the grass hadn't grown in 3 months. But
okay, anyway,
I watched Duke, North Carolina. That was an entertaining. Not as competitive and close. North Carolina just doesn't have it like they've had in years past. But this
Hubert
Duke
Davis is in trouble.
Yeah, no kidding. This Duke team is fun to watch. Kept me entertained, and they're good. I don't know if they're better than Auburn. I know they beat Auburn earlier. Auburn's only lost, but I think both teams are distinctive in their own ways, dominant in their own ways, deep in their own ways. They play a little different style, but I can tell those two teams, the eye test tells me those are the two best teams I've seen so far.
I'm with you.
Still feel that way about Auburn when it comes to the SEC. I will say this about Duke. As I'm watching that game, Barry, if I'm Greg Byrne, I'm looking at that game and I'm thinking, I want to completely reinvent what I want to do with Alabama basketball in terms of an arena, fan experience, the whole deal. I don't know how Duke does it, but they cram more people into a small space and they are right on top of you. Now, I don't see, unless the big wigs are sitting on the other side of the court, which I think I did see the back of their heads because they were the only ones that were not standing up. So I'm assuming those were the big wigs on the floor seats. But that place, I think you probably got, and I think somebody told us this when they went to the Auburn Duke game, you're actually standing sideways because it is so tight in there.
Yeah. It's like a Tennessee football game.
Mm-hmm.
Nope. Yeah. It is most of it's bench seating, like at Mackey Arena at Purdue and some of the group of five or mid-majors. It's bench seating but they do it right. The students are right there. And I don't blame them. The students don't mind because they don't use the seats anyway.
Yeah.
Pack them in. And Auburn's the same way. I love it that Auburn's more intimate. Auburn's got an upper deck, Cameron Indoor. They put the media, they put the broadcast people up in the crow's nest up at the top, just like Vanderbilt does.
There's another great idea.
And here's what Alabama needs to do. Forget about the 15,000. There is so much space in that big old Quonset hut that they play in that noise tends to go up and kind of disappear and dissipate up in the very top in the rafters and stuff. You got those dark corners. I've done tons of TV there, and I know our producers always used to try to figure out ways to brighten up those dark corners. Get yourself something. Swallow your pride. Get you a 9,000, 8,000 seat arena, one level all the way around, and right above, kind of like they do at Houston, kind of like they do now at the O-Dome in Gainesville. Make that second level skyboxes and those terraced exclusive areas up there. You know, get you a terrace with some high bar stools and everything on that second level. Put all of those skyboxes, and I mean skyboxes, not like open areas. I'm talking about closed in windows, whole deal that you can open and all that. But that's what it should be.
I just thought,
15,000.
That is an intimidating atmosphere. And I don't know of another school that's got it like that. I mean, you are packed in right on the floor. And there again, if the big wigs want to sit on the floor, that's fine. Let them do it. But put the cameras on that side too, so you're not looking at them. You know, when you're watching an Auburn or Alabama game, you can see those big wigs sitting on the floor seats, and they never get up. So to me, that's not a good visual if I'm watching it on TV. Similar to the visual of Alabama's media area that you are drawn to every time they go to that end of the floor, which, I mean, it just drives me insane when I see that. And now I'm looking for it now because I brought it up so much. I hope other people are too.
I'll never forget it. Troy played on Thursday against Georgia Southern, and Georgia Southern, the head coach was a guy named Charlie Henry. And he used to be an assistant at Alabama. And it says that he has worked with, he was Alabama's kind of defensive coach. And it says that he had worked with guys like Herb Jones. And I'm thinking, Herb Jones?
Yeah. He's
played under Notes? I don't know. I don't think he played under Oates. Anyway.
He did. Yeah, he did.
But if that's I remember that because I'm trying to think about it. Here's my story anyway. I don't want to get off track. I remember watching one game on television. Alabama was playing, and Herb Jones, who was the defensive player of the year in the SEC for like 2 years or something. Phenomenal defensive player. And you got the blue hairs that are sitting down on courtside. He ran and he's flying down to the sidelines. He's going after a loose ball on the sidelines, and he is skidding. He must have skidded 10 yards into those folding chair seats down there, right? And this old pudgy guy was sitting there eating his popcorn and talking with his wife. And Herb ended up right at his feet, and jostled his seat a little bit. And that guy looks down at him and he kind of, gets his feet out of the way. And he looks like he's mad at Herb for, I paid extra for these seats. You don't do that. And I'm thinking, come on, that's awesome. And if you're like, oh, what does he do? Did they tell us that they would be sweaty basketball players that would actually contact us? And the guy was like, oh, yeah, come on.
It kind of reminds me of the Ole Miss player that got up into that Auburn fans' face.
Showing his jersey and everything. Yeah. That was Marshall Henderson.
But, I'm thinking, awesome. That to me is a really neat atmosphere. And I don't know if another one in the SEC that is like that. There's some that are similar. They're trying to be, but not so much the exact blueprint of what Duke has going. And, there again, I don't know if you need it for a multi-purpose type deal and for gymnastics and whatever else. Yeah. But, to me, that is a huge home field court advantage. I don't sense there is a huge home court advantage in Tuscaloosa.
Yeah.
But watching Duke play and seeing how their fans react was really interesting. When we get back, I really want to kind of dive into what I originally kind of got to when I brought this up was about Auburn and Auburn and Duke. And then where does Alabama fit into that? mix with the Dukes and the Auburns of the college basketball world.
That's be interesting. It should come up next. In association with Yellowhammer News, it's Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light. Phoenix Physical Therapy is ready to help patients recover, recharge, and rise. They develop a customized therapy plan for each patient to get them back to enjoying their favorite activities. Their experienced team is committed to providing exceptional care in a professional environment. Whether you're looking to prevent or treat an injury, recover from a recent illness, or recuperate from surgery, schedule an appointment with the clinic and take advantage of their physical therapy, athletic training, workers' comp, and employer solution services. Experience elevated physical therapy care today. Call Phoenix Physical Therapy at 239-9316. That's 239-9316.
Some days you hit snooze, but not today. Today you have to go on a run to get burgers for the tailgate. You've got to haul something heavy, a cooler stocked with Bud Light. When you've got beer and football, nothing is hard. Until the other team scores. Bud Light. Easy to drink, easy to enjoy. Enjoy responsibly. 21 plus, copyright 2024 Anheuser-Busch, Bud Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
All guests of Longshore and McKnight appear on the City of Montgomery guest hotline. Check out the most interesting and informed personalities in sports covering Auburn, Alabama, Troy, ASU, and all the major teams from across the country. John and Barry have the best guests brought to you by the City of Montgomery. To find out everything you need to know that is going on in the capital city, check out montgomeryal.gov. That's montgomeryal.gov, the capital of dreams.
All right, back at it here, about 23 minutes to the top of the hour. Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light. Easy to drink, easy to enjoy. So I watch a little bit of Auburn.
Yep.
Watching a little bit of Alabama, and I'm feeling the same way that I have over the last couple of weeks. I still think Auburn's really good. Might be the best team out there.
Oh boy.
And Nate Oates mentioned the turnovers. He was not happy with Alabama turning the basketball over time and time again. And I see Alabama play in spurts, and I see some lapses, maybe a little down trend during the game, and I've seen that several times throughout the year. As I said earlier, I think Auburn and Duke, I hadn't watched a lot of Iowa State. I'm hearing a lot about them, but I mean, when you get beat at home by a team like Kansas State, as
by
badly
19,
as they did,
ooh, that was a shocker.
I don't care. Everybody on your team is, got some terrible rash or whatever, and they just aren't feeling it. You don't lose that badly at home if you're that good. I don't see Duke or Auburn losing as badly as Iowa State did. But maybe they'll bounce back. But I think February the 15th is going to be a reality check. And that's fast approaching, but it's what about 10, 12 days away, where Auburn will come to Coleman Coliseum and the Tide and the Tigers will meet for the first of two regular season games. Think that's right? Think they play on the 15th?
It is true. Yeah, it's correct.
And I think that's when reality sets in. And everybody's all excited. And like I said, Alabama will probably be ranked third in the nation when this poll comes out later today, with Iowa State losing. And, of course, Alabama won. And somebody asked me yesterday, I bet Alabama's a favorite in that game. And I said, not today. In 12 days, something might happen. I don't see it happening. But if they played right now in Coleman Coliseum, Alabama would be an underdog in that game. I'd be surprised if they were not.
Not a big underdog.
No.
But no. I'm with you. Auburn is strong, people.
So
Alabama's strong, too, and they're playing at home.
But if the threes aren't hitting, and they get in a little cold spell with that three ball, and they're turning it over, when they get into a little lapse, and they're both these teams have a deep bench. They got guys that can come off the bench and play. I get it. But I just did not see anything, Barry, since November that has changed my mind that, Auburn's not the best team in the league, might be the best in the nation. Alabama's good, but Alabama has more lapses and plays in spurts more than I've seen Auburn. Auburn seems to just play complete for 40 minutes. They don't seem to have many lapses. And if they come in 10, 12 days on the 15th of February and they beat Alabama by double digits in Coleman, what's the tone going to be then?
I don't like the tone of, well, reality has set in, considering Alabama, they've lost 3 games all year. What are they? 15-3, 16-3. Yeah, I know. They've beaten some really good teams, but if they lose at home to the Aubs, that's reality. No, I still think they're an extremely good team. Bear in mind this, because John catches a lot of crud for this. He ain't saying, bet the Aubs. It don't matter. What the spread, bet Aub's going to win, Alabama stinks. Auburn is an eventual. That's not what he's saying. He's saying that if they played right now, or if they play when they play on the hang on, let me get this right. When they play on the 15th, Auburn would be favored. That's all he's saying. Now, if Alabama loses, or if Auburn loses, that ain't exactly reality. I mean, that's the way the game goes. But that doesn't mean, this is who they really are. Alabama is incredible. John has said that before. Are they as good as Auburn right now? I don't really think so. I'm starting to feel this, and I think Tobias's message on the chat line, Dennis, I'll get to you in just a moment. Tobias's message on the chat line, does it feel to you, stay with me here, Mark Sears is the Jalen Milroe of Alabama basketball? Tobias says, Mark Sears is a turnover machine. Check. Sears is not a point guard. What would they say about Milroe? He is not a quarterback. He shouldn't be the primary ball handler because of his turnover issues. Are you telling me, Tobias, and I love you. I'm just teasing you. Are you telling me, Tobias, that maybe there's a young player who is not playing point guard right now that maybe is the future at point guard? And they need to go ahead and put him in. Is Mark Sears the Jalen Milroe of Alabama basketball? Is somebody going to tell me that Alabama cannot win a national championship with Mark Sears as the point guard?
Well, and I'm going to throw one more out in there as well, Barry. I've not seen Mark Sears try to trip up a defender, but neither one of them play defense very well.
Yeah, if Mark Sears ends up throwing a pass to the wing and some guy steps in front of it and goes the other way, Sears ain't going to stick his foot out. I don't think
he would do. That would be a flagrant foul, I believe. Might even get you some bench time, which Mark Sears has had some bench time a couple of games this year because of his uninspired defensive play. But I don't know, Tobias, that's interesting. I've never really thought about it like that. I think Sears is a better player in terms of if you're comparing the two in their sport. I know he's had some lulls as well, but night in and night out, I think I'd take Sears over Milroe. Well, because I was on Milroe's case 18 months ago.
True.
Everybody thought I was crazy, but
now JD brings this up. Careful, Tobias. Lamiki is going to be coming after your hostile comments. How dare you comment against Sears creating this humiliating environment Lamikia does not approve. That's his mama, who is quite active on his behalf.
And I knew there was some of the response I was going to get, and I understand it. Playing at home is a big advantage. Playing on the SEC road is tough, and I certainly understand that. But I think Auburn's just the better team right now. And this team's played a lot of quad one teams, and they've beat them.
Yes.
So I'm not so sure atmosphere and environment really gets to this team like it might others. Certainly didn't get to Ole Miss a couple of weeks ago, and LSU played Alabama pretty tough as well there for most of the game in Tuscaloosa. So I don't see this Auburn team coming into Tuscaloosa all rattled. And, this is a veteran team. These guys have been around, so they know what they're experiencing. To me, all the pressure is on Alabama. Are you really one of the best teams? Are you as good as Auburn is? Because if Auburn comes in there and beats them at Coleman, and there again, if they beat them by 2 points or beat them by 12, it's still a road victory. But certainly you lose by double digits at home. That's even more of a concern. But then they got to go to Auburn 2 weeks later. And you think Alabama's going to go to Auburn and beat them over at Neville? So to me, it's huge winning the game. And I know we're getting ahead of ourselves because there are a lot of other games to be played before that. But there again, Barry, I'm looking at both these teams every time they play. And I'm looking at it because I know most of our viewers and our listeners look at it the same way. Which one's better? Which team can beat which other?
I don't care about Iowa State. Shut up about Duke and all that.
Mm-hmm.
All I want, and this is the people who aren't packing Neville and who aren't packing Coleman, all I want to know is, are we better than Auburn? Are we better than Alabama? That's all I care about.
And you'll get to that when tournament time rolls around. You can worry about Iowa State, and you can worry about Duke and Kansas and whoever else is hot out there. But right now, it's all about, I mean, I know there's a trip to Fayetteville coming up and this, that, and the other. But, man, that game on the 15th, I'm a little concerned about it.
Next, the Gators come up next weekend. That'll be in Auburn. At Vanderbilt a week from tomorrow. Alabama on the road a week from Saturday. There's a lot between now and then, and if Auburn slips up, that takes a little bit of the luster away from that Alabama game. And then regular season closes on March the 8th at Neville against Alabama.
And then you got to go and then the SEC tournament in Nashville again. You never know. The two teams could face off in the SEC tournament. Somebody asked me about this again as well yesterday, and you never know. I mean, certainly you want to go to win, but Auburn and Alabama probably have bigger goals in mind than winning the SEC tournament. I mean, I know you don't go to the tournament with the mindset we're going to lose, we're not going to win it, but if you don't, it's not that big of a deal. I remember, years ago when Mississippi State beat Kentucky in the SEC tournament, and the Wildcats went on to win the national title.
Right.
And said it was the best thing that happened to them, getting that loss. But and there again, we're looking way ahead there. But,
that's a month
SEC away, tournament, if they don't win it, they're not in the championship game. No big deal. I think these teams are all focused on what they could do in the tournament in March, the big tournament.
Mm-hmm. If I think right now, the SEC tournament were to be played right now, out of the 16 teams, half of them know that this ain't it for them.
Yeah.
There are 8 teams right now, and maybe more, but there are 8 teams I feel confident saying they're going to the big dance. They ain't worried about the SEC tournament. And so if you're like if you're number 7 seed who plays on a Thursday, if they lose on a Thursday, they won't tell anybody this, but they're probably like, good. Now we can get some rest and practice and get ready for the NCAA tournament.
That's kind of where we were going with that.
That's
yesterday.
Where we live.
Like, you might see, I'm not saying they're going to tank it, but if they don't win it, they're not going to cry and moan and complain all day about it. But I think that's real interesting, Barry, leading up, and I know we're getting ahead of ourselves. We got about 10 to 12 days to go before Auburn and Alabama meet for the first time this year. Alabama goes to Fayetteville on Saturday, got the week off before they go to a weekend game in Fayetteville. Who do they play the next week? Who do they play midweek before they play Auburn?
Good question. Hang on.
I was just kind of curious because you'd mentioned Auburn's playing Vanderbilt and Florida, I believe.
Florida, yes, correct. Alabama, they've got Arkansas on Saturday. A week from tomorrow, they go to Texas. 8 o'clock start time for that one in Austin. Get back about 1 o'clock 2 o'clock in the morning. Try to get a little sleep. Practice on Wednesday and Thursday. A little walkthrough on shoot around on Friday. Then Auburn. So yeah, they've got Arkansas and Texas both on the road.
All right. So
before they take, but again, they do have the midweek off this week.
And we hear how difficult it is to win on the road in the SEC. Hear that all the time. So Alabama's got to go to Fayetteville and to Austin before they come back to play Auburn
at home.
So, you know, obviously if they go on the road and win those two, that's huge. Both those teams certainly look beatable, even though Arkansas played their best game of the year Saturday night. They're going to be a little flat for Alabama. Who knows? Texas is there again, been kind of hot and cold, but not a world beater, not one of the, the top 3 or 4 teams in the league. So it's doable to win both of those on the road, and it would certainly make this game even more exciting and magnified if both Auburn and Alabama do not lose before they face each other. Auburn's, got Oklahoma and Florida at home, as you mentioned. They're at Vanderbilt before they come to Tuscaloosa. That will be the second of 2 road games for Auburn when they play Alabama. I don't know if that has anything to do with it, but certainly Auburn's 3 games before they go to Tuscaloosa certainly look winnable.
Well, also this, as we go to break, and it's a really, really good point by Ty on our chat line in response to Theodos, who says, "Where's Bob from Pike Road? Where's Danny from Margaritaville?"
I'm getting concerned.
Ty says, "I figured since Bama hired Grubbs as OC, we might actually hear from them, Theo." Boys, if we don't hear from Bob or Danny today or tomorrow, then I'm getting really concerned.
Yeah.
New offensive coordinator. Come on. I mean, that's getting the fishing rod. And come on, guys. You see that lure bobbing. Come on.
Yeah. I mean, Ryan Grubb, after 3-4 week search, he is officially now on the Alabama staff. Yeah, I want to know what Bob thinks about that. Sure.
Danny too. Yeah.
Danny too. What's going on with them? All right, we are getting close to the top of the hour. We do need to take a quick time out. We're going to come back with more. Man, the chat line is hopping today, our River Region Straw chat line. Also, our Marguerite's Exquisite Jewelry email inbox, Longshore and McKnight at gmail.com. Coach has chimed in with a question.
Love it.
We'll touch base with that and a whole lot more today. So we got a lot of conversation. But Barry, when we come back, this is probably going to surprise you. Something that I've viewed for longer than minute and a half, 2 minutes. Actually stuck with it for probably 10.
Well, I would say if I knew your wife was home, it was a Hallmark movie, which would have shocked me, but it's probably not. He's John Longshore. Yeah. I'm Barry McKnight in association with Yellowhammer News. It's Longshore and McKnight presented by Bud Light.
Hey, folks, you got to take advantage of the incredible holiday savings at Stivers Ford in Montgomery, where they sell America's best-selling truck for 50 years in a row, the F-150. And you can get an F-150 at 1.9% APR for 60 months or up to $15,000 off MSRP and no payments for 90 days. Hundreds to choose from. Your F-150 is on the lot right now. Also, F-150 Lightnings. $15,000 off MSRP and 0% APR for 72 months. What about the stylish Ford Bronco? Up to $10,000 off MSRP, starting as low as $34,990. And it started it all with the Ford Explorer. You can get one for up to $8,000 off MSRP, as low as $33,900 and 1.9% APR for 66 months. Folks, Stivers Ford is loaded with cars, trucks, and SUVs priced to sell. Stivers Ford, 4000 Eastern Boulevard in Montgomery, where price sells cars.
Heads or tails, kick or receive, with the wind or against the wind. Buy your friend a Bud Light, buy a stranger a Bud Light. Go to your team's bar, go to the opposing team's bar. Buy around during the next truck commercial, buy around during the next talking duck commercial. If you're truly up for whatever this weekend, grab the perfect beer for whatever happens. Crisp, refreshing Bud Light. Make 2 plans and let the NFL coin toss make the call. Enjoy responsibly. Bud Light Beer, Anheuser-Busch, St. Louis, Missouri.
Local banking expertise, the newest innovations and technology, personal attention, genuine hospitality. It's all just part of the Riverbank and Trust difference. They invite you to experience it for yourself. Welcome to banking above and beyond at Riverbank and Trust. Locations throughout the river region, locations throughout the state of Alabama. Riverbank and Trust. Hey, Robbie's up early today, 7:55.
Nice.
He's already up today here on Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light. Easy to drink, easy to enjoy. Really enjoying all of the chats on our River Region Straw chat line.
They're awesome.
Our
Robbie,
email inbox, we appreciate that. In the VIP River Region Straw text hotline's been pretty active today as well, Barry.
I can imagine. Hey, Ryan Grubbs is hired as the offensive coordinator, according to reports. It's not official yet.
Yeah.
But I've got theories. Robbie said Auburn was going to lose at Ole Miss because Ole Miss doesn't turn the ball over as much as LSU. If LSU hadn't turned it over 20 times, Auburn would have had a much harder time with them. So it's turnovers. They're not going to get as many turnovers. But when we comment on Mark Sears turning the ball over a little bit too much on the chat line, Robbie says, well, Mark Sears turned the ball over early, but he settled down and played much better. A couple of fouls were missed on those turnovers. Bama plays up tempo. He says you have to look at turnovers per possession to get full context. So when it goes about Auburn, it's like, oh, man, they're not going to get as many turnovers. But it's Alabama. See, it's turnovers per possession.
Okay.
There. Now, so there's that from Robbie. Yeah. Also, this from Coach. He says, and this is Longshore and McKnight at gmail.com. He says, good morning, men. Okay, let's pull the scab off. Why did 2 men making $10 million plus, Saban and DeBoer, not develop Jalen Milroe? Here comes the excuses. Was Saban a great coach or a great recruiter / evaluator? DeBoer is just lost at probably the best college football program in history, and Bama will be stuck paying him $100 million to not coach. That is from Coach.
Well, they can, I don't know about that, Coach, but they can certainly get some advice from another school in this state that have paid off a lot of coaches that didn't work out. I don't think that's going to be the case with DeBoer. I think it's a little early on that. In terms of Milroe, what you're going to hear is, well, the offensive coordinators couldn't do anything with him. That's why Tommy Reese got booted, and they're moving Nick Sheridan down to the equipment manager or whatever he's going to do. That's the excuses you'll hear.
I look at it like this. That's like asking, John Lennon was a multi-millionaire. Why could he not develop Yoko Ono? You know why? Because she couldn't sing.
Yeah. How about Julian Lennon? He was horrible too.
Yeah, but it's much too late for goodbyes.
Hey, look that one up, folks. I mean, that was an obscure reference. Yeah, you're probably thinking, who's he talking about? Okay,
Ever
look
since
it up.
I've been leaving you. Now, I just don't know how much. Maybe he developed maybe you could develop him as a defensive back, wide receiver, something like that. I don't know. Yoko Ono, she has the look of a tambourine player to me. Why she'd sing and it'd be like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. All right. So let's hit the rewind button a little bit. So when Saban's last year, Milroe was the starting quarterback and got benched in, was it the second or third game? I think it was the third against South Florida in Tampa.
Yes. Correct.
So they okay, we're going to try something else. And it was a disaster. And it almost cost them the game.
South Florida people.
Yeah. So does that not tell you that's the best they had? Now, in terms of developing him, maybe he just had reached his ceiling. He's a great athlete, a great runner, hard to tackle, can throw the deep ball well. Kind of the same things you heard about coming out of Mobile this week for the Senior Bowl, and nothing's changed. He has reached his limit. He's hit the ceiling. Was there anybody else better? You got to think if there were, they would have played him.
They
Now,
gave Tyler Buckner a shot.
Yeah. In terms of Ty Simpson.
Tried. Yes.
And there again, I'm not there every day. I'm out at practice. Why in the world Kalen DeBoer did not try something different in Norman, Oklahoma is beyond me. I can't answer that because I would put somebody different in there just to get a different vibe, get a different feel, see if there's a spark there.
At the very end of the season, the very last game, go home whether you win or lose.
Yeah.
And you don't put anybody in for him when he was sleepwalking through the Michigan game. John, I got to tell you, I'm with you. I'm not at practice. I don't know what they see. Maybe the players love him and they rally around him. But when they didn't put anybody in for him in the Michigan game,
oh yeah,
that absolutely. My reaction was they don't believe in anybody else.
Yeah. I mean, there again, do they? I mean, Ty Simpson's got to be over there going, "What's wrong with me? What have I done that's so bad?" To me, Barry, it tells me there was a chemistry issue, team morale issue, maybe loyalty, too much of a loyalty issue in terms of a brand new head coach and a new staff coming in, kind of got the blinders on and only thinking or looking one direction. Well, I guess that's our quarterback and that's our running back and that's our tight end, and really not doing a real evaluation, self-scouting, if you will, to find out who the best fits were. And if you're going to go in there and upset the apple cart and make a lot of wholesale changes after they convinced a lot of these guys not to hit the transfer portal, and a bunch of them did, and they're trying to keep whatever they've got together, I think it was a unique situation of, if we make too many different wholesale changes, we could lose this team altogether.
That's also.
And I think you got to factor that in, and I think those days are over. That's the sense I'm getting. That's the winds, the direction the wind's blowing, that it's my way from now on out. And we're going to play my type of quarterback and run my type of offense and play football like I've been coaching it for the last however many years, whether it was at Sioux Falls, South Dakota, Indiana, Washington, it didn't matter. And if you don't see a big difference, I'll be really surprised. Now, will it reflect in the win-loss record? Who knows? Tough schedule. But I think the way they play is going to be different than what we saw last year.
I think you can make the same kind of a point as far as losing the team goes with Peyton Thorne. I don't know that there was anybody better. He did give Hank Brown a chance, which, nobody gave Simpson a chance at Alabama. And Hank Brown looked okay in spots, not okay in others, didn't figure he was the future, go to the transfer portal. But Peyton Thorne had some leadership about him. It was a misconception to say, well, he's the guy that'll take care of the football and get it where it needs to be. The guy's played 70 bajillion games, and he's still throwing to the linebacker, or he's still throwing it right to the cornerback or fumbling the football. So I would say this, and I haven't asked John this, but I would say this. Is 2025 DeBoer's going to be okay. Unless he goes like 0-12, he's going to be okay.
Sure.
He's got a big contract. They believe in him.
Yeah.
This could be a make or break year for Hugh Freeze. Is this about that time for him? He's got to put a lot of faith in Jackson Arnold. He's got to do a lot of things to get Deuce Knight ready in the next year or so. He's got to find somebody to take over for Jarquez or some people there. They've got a lot in spring practice that they have got to answer, because this better be a breakout year for Hugh Freeze. There ain't no more developing
with
this,
you.
developing that. He better.
I agree.
This ain't the time for patience this year.
I think in the schedule sets up well for Auburn. Their two biggest games are at Jordan-Hare. Some of the road trips, in the league, I think are certainly manageable. You know, they can go on the road and beat a Baylor team. They don't need to lose that to open the season. I think this is a big year for Freeze. And I think some things are in his favor to make it a good year.
Baylor on the road. But if they lose to Baylor, they lose at Oklahoma, they lose at Texas A&M, then they've got Georgia.
Let's think about it this way. And I know what Coach is getting to, and as we talk about Freeze and his future, but here it is, early February. If any change would be made, it'd be happening in about 10 months, 9 to 10 months. What coach out there first comes to mind? If you get rid of Hugh Freeze, if you get rid of Kalen DeBoer, who are you going to hire?
All right. Maybe, just maybe, you spend some money on Clark Lee from Vanderbilt. Maybe somebody throws a little money at Shane Beamer. Those are coaches that I like. Maybe Kirk Cignetti, except Kirk Cignetti's about 61 years old. Not that there's anything wrong with that. Prime of life, if you ask me.
Come on. See, those three names right there, I don't see that exciting the masses at the capstone or over on the plane.
Rhett Lashley. There you go, Theodis. Rhett Lashley, Kenny Dillingham. There you go, some guys with some Auburn backgrounds.
A retread? I mean, didn't they run both those guys out of town?
They ran Chiswick. Well, Chiswick had been an assistant coach before and didn't run him out of town. And he comes back and wins a national championship.
You know, I like the
Auburn likes guys at Auburn who have already been.
It's family. Auburn. You know, come on. You give family a second chance. You know, the Rhett Lashley suggestion is interesting. I've always liked that guy too. I like his guy. Things just didn't go. That was just oil and water with he and Malzahn. But he stuck it out. He kept his mouth shut. He moved on. I'll be interested to see what SMU does this year, and of course, I got a lot of money there to keep him.
Yeah.
But that's an interesting one, Theodis. You know, Rhett Lashley is one that. But there again, is he any better than what they've got?
It's a good point.
If you're going to make a move, you got to get somebody that's better than what you've currently got. And you know me, I was a big Freeze guy. Still am. Still in the Freeze corner.
Look.
Just think he needs to mix in a razor a little more often.
Jackson Arnold comes in, former 5-star, former #1 quarterback recruit.
Yeah.
He's got potential. Tom Luganbill said he absolutely couldn't throw the ball because all five of this is what you'll hear in the offseason a lot, probably from John and me as well. Come on, you got to believe in Jackson Arnold. Remember, his 5 best wide receivers were all injured at one point last year for Oklahoma. So who is he throwing it to? That's the same thing why I love the hire at Alabama of Ryan Grubbs, especially in early February. Offense wasn't very good last year, couldn't run the football, only threw it basically to 2 guys, Bernard and Williams. Offensive line was a work in progress. But hey, Bama fans, hope springs eternal. Yeah, but now we got Ryan Grubbs. Now, see, you know, all that. See, we didn't have him last year. So that will generate excitement and hope in the Alabama fan base. And like, yeah, I know we didn't play. We lost 4 games last year, but that was before we had Ryan Grubbs, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, both schools have got some things to really kind of help ease some of the nervousness and anxiety going into the offseason. This will be good.
With Ryan Grubb coming on as the new OC, and based on what we heard about his time in Seattle and the lack of a running game, should Bama fans expect to see 70-75% of that offense through the air?
Yeah. Woo! Love it. Bring it on. Absolutely. Aerial circus. Throw it
Yeah.
around the lot. That and before anybody, what was the nickname of the former Auburn head coach who's now representing our country in the United States Senate?
Oh, yeah. Tubbs.
What's his nickname? Tubbs.
Yeah.
The offensive coordinator is Grubbs.
Yes, not
Grubb.
Tubbs.
Grubbs,
tell
not
the
Grubb.
difference.
Tubbs, not Tuberville has one B. Grubbs has an S on the end of it.
Yes. Plus,
Yes.
I don't think Grubbs is bald-headed. Tubbs has a full head of hair. Grubbs'
Yep.
ears aren't big. Tubbs' are.
That's exactly right.
So that's how you tell the difference.
Who knows?
on
Who
that.
knows what Ryan Grubbs' stance is on illegal immigration? But the other stuff,
Yeah, true.
we can definitely do that.
So
Well,
Curtis says, what about Bob Stoops? Curtis, why don't you throw in John Gruden while you're at it? I mean,
yeah. How about Dick Sheridan?
Yeah. Bob Stoops. Huh.
Isn't he the head coach of the San Antonio Brahmins or
I think
something? Or
the Arlington Renegades or something. I
oh,
think that's
boy.
in the UFL.
Love it.
But then, that's there again. Who you gonna hire if you get rid of somebody? But
no.
I don't really even see Freeze. Even if they go 7-5, I don't see them firing Freeze. I don't see that happening.
7-5?
Again,
No. 7-5.
because there
No.
again, he's gone out and proven he can go recruit and he can work the transfer portal.
Well, how do I ask this? 7-5. It depends on who the wins are against.
We know. Oh yeah.
If one of the 7 wins is against Vanderbilt on the road, that's all right. If one of the 7 wins is against Mercer on November 22nd, that's not going to. If one of the wins is a home game the week after the Mercer game at Jordan-Hare Stadium,
contract extension, raise
3 to 5 years.
Yeah.
With a rollover, possibly.
Yeah. I mean, the last 2 at Jordan-Hare slipped away from the Tigers, and if they can seal the deal this November and beat the mighty Crimson Tide at Jordan-Hare, he ain't going anywhere.
Think about how much could have happened if there hadn't been that 4th and 31.
Oh, no kidding.
Jalen Milroe probably wouldn't have even tried to make the team next year.
That could have been a blessing in disguise.
Freeze would have had a 10-year extension, 10 years, $100 million. Oh my gosh.
Saban might not have come back the following year.
How the turntables. Oh my gosh.
He might not even made it to Pasadena. Oh, that would just been terrible. But it is. It's all about who you beat. Got Georgia and Alabama both at home. So
that's true.
That's you win one of those 2 or both of them. Woo!
Oh
man.
Yeah, again, those 7 wins. If it's 7-5, he may be okay anyway. But if he's 7-5 with a blowout home loss to Georgia, blowout home loss to Alabama.
So, Barry, we know Auburn's playing Baylor on the road in week 1 out in Waco. Who are Auburn's other incredible quality, can't miss non-conference opponents?
How have you forgotten so quick, John? Baylor on the road, August 30th.
Okay.
Ball State.
The
Cardinals.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
The alma mater of both David Letterman and Joyce DeWitt.
From Three's Company?
Three's Company.
Okay.
I can't remember the name of her character.
Well, no.
You had Chrissy, you had Jack Tripper, you had Mr. Furley, Mr. Roper, Mrs. Roper. Her name was. Anyway,
somebody help us out on the chat line.
South Alabama drives me nuts. I hate
Alabama.
How in the world do they have South Alabama and they will not schedule Troy, except for South Alabama's an easier game.
They're scared.
September 13th, South Alabama, and then conference. Finally, the week before Alabama, the fabled Mercer Bears, who continue to absolutely fund their entire athletic department through games against Auburn and Alabama, it feels like.
Okay, so those are your great non-cons you got to endure over at Jordan-Hare, but you go to Arkansas, go to Oklahoma, go to Vanderbilt,
go to Texas A&M.
So those are the 4 road games. A&M on the road. We hear every year it's tough, but when do they play A&M?
They play A&M September 27th,
Right.
right before the open date, right before Georgia at home.
That's interesting because last season they played them the week before they played Alabama.
That's right. That's true.
Yeah. Who they play before Alabama this year?
Mercer.
Huh.
Second battle of the year against the Bears.
Yeah.
Baylor to open, Mercer near the end.
So at Arkansas, at Oklahoma, at Vandy, and at A&M, okay, manageable. Certainly look, on paper, games they certainly can win. Georgia at home, Missouri at home, Kentucky at home, Alabama at home. To me, the conference schedule sets up really nicely for this Auburn team to get some victory. I don't want to say steal some wins. I think they can win them. They can certainly get some victory. So, 8-4, 9-3. Nah, they're not a huge no.
10-2.
Well, whoa,
10-2.
Whoa.
I'm just saying that because that's what Chris the Bammer is saying. Chris the Bammer says the Augs will be a surprise in the SEC. 10 wins guarantee.
Man.
I'm just
putting the mojo on.
Subscribing to Chris the Bammer.
I think that's a little aggressive.
Well, that's Chris the Bammer for you.
Yeah.
I also am subscribing to Chris the Bammer because he says, spin the wheel.
Think about this, Chris the Bammer, and everyone else out there watching and listening. If that's true, and if it is just a really marquee year for Auburn football and Hugh Freeze, and they go 10-2, maybe even a little better. I mean, based on the schedule, who's to argue that they couldn't? And this coming off a basketball national championship? Wow. I mean, you won't hear from Danny from Margaritaville for 6 years. Bob from Pike Road.
It's hard to type in when you've got your thumb in your mouth and you're rocking back and forth in a fetal position.
If Auburn wins it all, it's the Final Four in San Antonio this year. For some reason, I feel like I heard that. Yeah.
Yes.
They win it all in San Antonio, and then 6 months later, they're in the college football playoff, and they're working their way through the bracket to a football natty. Oh, man. Is that too much too soon? I don't know. We'll think about it.
Look at Mr. Bodigetta over there. John Longshore painting a picture. Well, we will spin the wheel coming up in just a moment. Glad to have everybody here. He's John Longshore. I'm Barry McKnight. Welcome in. We're in a conjunction with Yellowhammer News. It's Longshore and McKnight presented by Bud Light.
Why Hands? At Hands Heating and Air, you get this area's highest ranked service provider with 24-hour repair service, no overtime charges, and their same-day service guarantee. Plus, instead of other companies' 30-day repair warranty, Hands gives you a 3-year repair warranty. Hands Heating and Air is here for you 24/7, 365. And service is not just something they do, it's their way of operating, for you in mind. All of Hands employees are trained to adhere to this standard. They work hard to ensure that this standard is maintained, and they are constantly looking for new ways to better serve you. Call Hands Heating and Air today at 508-5382. That's 508-5382, or find them on the web at 834hands.com.
This isn't going to work. No matter what we say, some people still drive drunk. But we're Budweiser. Giving a damn is what we do. So, if you think it's okay to drive drunk, if you think it's something that's debatable, or you just simply don't care, this Bud is not for you. Give a damn. Don't drive drunk. Enjoy responsibly. Budweiser Beer, Anheuser-Busch, St. Louis, Missouri.
The Destin Connection Seafood Market offers the freshest seafood direct from the Gulf of Mexico with deliveries daily. Snapper, grouper, pompano, flounder, copia, along with medium, large, and jumbo shrimp, hand-picked crab meat, and chucked oysters. They can even cook your order for easy, quick pickup. The Destin Connection can make a po' boy with any of their seafood items that folks in New Orleans rave about. Go by and see them at 3750 Norman Bridge Road or call 288-4272 for pickup orders.
Okay, back at it here, about 20 minutes past the hour of our second hour here today. I was doing a little channel surfing between athletic events over the weekend, whether it was the AT&T out at Pebble Beach that Rory McIlroy won yesterday. Man, the weather changes out there, unbelievable. I mean, raining, windy, blistery, then the next day the sun's shining and they're wearing golf shirts. So it can change on a dime out there. Heard one of the players talk about he's being interviewed, the world famous short par 3 7th, about 106-7 yards. They were hitting 54-degree wedges one day, and the next day they're hitting 7 irons because the wind's blowing directly into their face. But big win there. Saw a little bit of that. Watched some basketball, obviously. Did not watch the Senior Bowl or the Pro Bowl. But, Barry, I watched about 15 minutes of a sporting event that probably you wouldn't have expected me to watch. Not particularly
Braves
this time of
weren't
year.
playing.
No, the Braves weren't playing. So
You got me.
And it wasn't,
Figure skating?
wasn't World Cup soccer.
Figure skating.
Figure skating. No, nothing like
UFL.
that.
Okay.
So I'm channel surfing, and I just happened to roll into this channel. I think it was on ABC.
Yeah.
An NBA game between the Lakers and the New York Knicks. And there was a big trade in the NBA over the weekend. If you didn't
Huge.
hear.
One of the most shocking trades you'd ever want to hear about.
That's a big one. That's a big trade there. I always wonder, why do other teams do that? You never hear of, like, I don't know, the Charlotte Hornets or the Orlando Magic or the Pelicans or somebody like. You never hear them making these big time. It's always the Lakers. The Lakers are always involved in these type things. Why is it always them?
The old the trade for Kareem Abdul-Jabbar from the Milwaukee Bucks.
Yeah.
The
Shaq
trade
from
for
the Magic.
LeBron, Shaq from the Magic. Now, Luka Doncic from the Dallas Mavericks for basically Anthony Davis.
Yeah.
Now, the Lakers win that trade. This is how one person put it in the national media, Yahoo Sports. Luka Doncic was a phenomenal player. They worried about his conditioning. He's pushing about 270, and let's face it, Doncic and Jokic for Denver both look like older fat guys just on the couch, but they both can really. I mean, Jokic has been a 3-time NBA MVP. This is one person put it. The Lakers just traded a 31-year-old big man in his 13th season, a pair of 21-year-old guards not widely seen as future stars, a 2029 first-round draft pick, and the Clippers' 2025 second-round pick for one of the 5 best players on the planet. What do the Mavericks see out of that? They trade, and Doncic was brilliant. He did some incredible things. I mean, he's averaged like 30 points a game in his last 5 games. Anthony Davis, a great defender, misses a lot of games. I say a lot of games. He doesn't miss a lot like Zion Williamson a lot, but he still misses a lot. But you take a chance if you're Dallas. You think the guy's getting, fat and stupid's no way to go through life, son.
No,
and they thought, maybe they thought Luka should have probably mixed in a couple of crunches here and there, maybe a few burpees. But why do you make that trade if you're Dallas? The Mavericks fans are mad. And why aren't there more trades like that?
I wonder. And it
in
just
anything,
seems
football, basketball, baseball, any of that.
It seems to always involve the Lakers. How come they get to make trades like this? How come they get to, spend the money and make the deals?
They got the money.
And
couldn't you just see if general manager Longshore of the Dallas Mavericks, somebody says, "What in the world were you thinking?"
Yeah.
General manager Longshore leans close to the microphone and says, "What's the worst that could happen?"
Sure.
Yeah,
why not?
That's right. That used to be John's big thing whenever deciding on spring break plans.
Yeah, no kidding.
Spinnaker at 1:30 in the morning?
Certainly.
What's the worst that could happen?
ask for permission, ask for forgiveness. You kidding me?
Exactly right.
All right, so, and and to kind of set this up, I've been very vocal about how difficult it is to watch a college basketball game because the whistles blow so much.
Yeah.
These guys are blowing whistles, calling fouls. We, go back to a game, Alabama and Texas A&M. I think there were 50-something fouls, 80-something free throws.
88 free throws.
Absolutely ridiculous. I cannot stand it. And it's like I've gotten to the point now where here comes a whistle. And when they don't blow the whistle, I'm kind of going, wow, that was refreshing.
They've actually had 3 or 4 different trips down the court where they just played. How about that?
So I didn't go into this with that mindset, but I did just happen to stumble on it right when they were, I guess, announcing that they'd already announced the starting lineup. They were talking about LeBron starting a game as a 40-year-old in the NBA, and there's LeBron on the court for the Lakers. And, I couldn't really recognize any of the players for the Knicks. But anyway, I mean, the game starts, and so I kind of start watching a little bit of it. They go up and down and whatnot. And so as the game played out, they play quarters. They don't play halves like they do in college. Maybe they need to think about that. Maybe go back to playing 4 quarters instead of 2 halves. But anyway, the Knicks and the Lakers are going up and down the court, and they're playing, and, they're scoring and this, that, and the other. And I'm kind of going, wow, this is kind of entertaining. And then it just kind of hits me. And I got my notepad out. I said, I want to mark this down.
Wow.
As I watched the game, Barry, they had played 6 minutes and 57 seconds in a 12-minute quarter. 12-minute quarters in the NBA.
All right.
6 minutes and 57 minutes had elapsed from the play clock.
Right.
They were at the 5-minute and 43-second mark on the clock when the first foul was called. The first whistle blew. Now, they blew the whistle to point which way the ball was going, or maybe the ball rolled out of bounds and the ref went beep and did like that.
Right, yeah.
But the first time they stopped play and called a foul was over 6 minutes and 57 seconds into the game.
That's an eternity, by the way. Some guys think 6 minutes and 57 seconds is sufficient for a lot of things.
Yeah.
But 6 minutes and 57 seconds is an eternity.
And I'm thinking,
for continuous flow of play in the NBA.
It really didn't feel like it was that long. I mean, it's not like I'm going, man, whew, these guys need a breather. Man, they got it. And there again, the ball would roll out of bounds or a turnover or something like that. And, then there'd be a little stoppage, but they're still moving up and down the floor. Maybe not at the fever pitch pace, but I'm thinking, I can kind of get into this. They don't blow the whistles now, where there's some times they could have blown the whistle, probably so, but they didn't.
But now, do you want the game to become football? I mean, do you want the game to become, beat the snot out of somebody and see if the referee will call it, and guy goes to the bucket and you shoulder shiver him, and that's what you're talking about, right?
Maybe as the game gets into the fourth quarter and it's getting tighter, maybe they're blowing a few more whistles. Maybe they're beating up on each other a little bit more.
Yeah.
And when I say beating up on each other, I mean, they're not throwing punches, but I mean, there's a lot of moving people out of the way with their butts, and there's a lot of elbowing. And then, I mean, fouls that you definitely would see called in college, they might not call those. Yeah. But I was just blown away. They played that long before a foul was called. And as I thought about it more, I'm thinking, okay, I'm not sitting here watching the whole game. And they got as much of me as they're going to get. I moved on from that point after I wrote this down. But I'm thinking
6 minutes and 57 seconds may be a career high for John in terms
in a regular season game.
Yeah,
it probably was.
NBA game.
But I thought maybe maybe the game does get a little tighter later on. If it gets, if the score gets a little closer, and then that you got to get a foul, you got to get LeBron to the line, maybe so the Lakers can win. I know there's some conspiracy theorists out there that say that they love the marquee players' teams to win.
Yeah.
But there again, I never caught myself going, oh, wow, there's a foul. They missed that.
Oh, for some people who don't watch much basketball, that's all they care about. That's what we always used to kid about whenever we're doing Alabama games and stuff. The biggest cheer the biggest reaction you used to get back at Coleman Coliseum, back whenever they weren't drawing anybody, the thing you hear more than anything else from the fans is like, "He walked."
Yeah, oh yeah.
There 2 teams out there, ref. Stuff like that. That for them was cheering for their team. Well, real quick, this before we accede to Chris the Bammer's demands and spin the wheel. There were 4 NHL hockey games. Like don't flip. 4 NHL hockey games, 4 NHL home hockey games. The 3. The Ottawa Senators, the Calgary Flames, and the Vancouver Canucks.
Okay.
One NBA game over the weekend was played in Toronto for the Toronto Raptors. Each one of those 4 venues, they play the Canadian national anthem, "Oh Canada," and then they play the U.S. national anthem. All 4 of those places booed the U.S. national anthem over the weekend after President Trump announced those tariffs against Canada. Every one of them. You could almost drown out the anthem because of the boos from the Canadian fans.
Yeah, they better watch themselves, because if Trump has it his way, they're going to be the 51st state, so they better watch what they're doing. Was there a 25% tariff put on those tickets to those games? Is that what they were complaining about?
No, because they were all in Canada. They didn't have to go.
Okay.
But, yeah, there you go.
All right. Well,
just thought I'd point that out. Yes.
Yeah, better watch what you're booing at. So Barry, also when we get back, before we get to the wheel, I actually listened to a basketball game Saturday afternoon. I was on the road.
Yeah.
And a comment was made by the home team's radio broadcaster that I went, whoa, wait a minute. I read somewhere by somebody else that doesn't happen that way. I'll explain when we get back.
A conversation about Andy Burcham and the topic wheel coming up with Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light.
January is a great time to shop Stivers Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Prattville, where you can save up to $20,000 off MSRP or 4.9% APR for 72 months on a 2025 Ram 1500 Bighorn. And Stivers is Alabama's largest volume Ram dealer. And there's a reason, because Price sells Ram trucks. Also up to $17,000 off MSRP on a 2024 Jeep Grand Cherokee. How about up to $17,000 off MSRP for a 2024 Jeep Wrangler Sierra, and up to $20,000 off MSRP on a 2024 Jeep Gladiator. Folks, this is just a few of the many great deals going on right now at Stivers Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Prattville on Cobbs Ford Road, where Price sells cars and trucks.
Jim Massey's Cleaners and Laundry is an Alabama-based, family-owned and operated business that specializes in dry cleaning and laundry, serving the river region since 1941. There are 12 convenient locations across the river region. Find one close to you or call 481-1911 for free pickup and delivery. For 83 years, Central Alabama has trusted Jim Massey's Cleaners and Laundry. You should too.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Glad you are with us here. It is a Monday with Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light. Easy to drink, easy to enjoy, in association with our good friends at Yellow Hammer News. Check it out at yellowhammernews.com. All right, Barry, so I believe that the radio play-by-play voice for the Ole Miss Rebels is a guy named David Kellum.
David Kellum, yes. One of my favorites, yes.
I don't know who his color analyst is. As a matter of fact, I don't even know who Auburn's color analyst is, because I listened to
Randall Dickey. Come
Randall Dickey. How do I know Randall Dickey?
He used to be on staff. Great guy. I don't know him. But I think he does a pretty good job.
Randall Dickey.
Sometimes on the for fill-ins, when Sonny retired from that, they'd have Joe Champy, They'd have Paul Ellen, they'd have Brad Law come in, but this year it's just kind of like full-time.
I know the Fishback's gotten a bigger gig, but I miss him on the Auburn broadcast.
Oh, yeah, Fish was good, is good.
So I'm listening to the Ole Miss broadcast.
Oh,
And,
okay.
I picked it up on Sirius or XM, whatever one I have, and you can kind of, and I did find Andy. He was on there as well, but I just happened to be listening to the Ole Miss broadcast.
Right.
And they're, doing what they do. And Kellum made the comment during the broadcast, something to the effect to his color analyst. What's his name again?
I don't know.
Let's just say Bob.
Bob.
He said,
I'm looking it up.
David said, Bob, does any team or coaching staff in this league complain to the officials more than Bruce Pearl and the Auburn Tigers?
What?
I almost ran off the interstate. And I wanted to go, David, do you not read Philip Marshall's column? Philip distinctly wrote not 2 weeks ago that Nate Oates complains to the officials more than any coach in the SEC. I mean, come on, man. Do your research. I mean, Nate Oates is the biggest complainer. But he, in his mind, thinks it's Bruce Pearl and the Auburn basketball team. So maybe the things weren't going their way in the game. I don't think it ever went their way. I mean, I think Ole Miss got close a couple of times. And they got all giddy and excited. And then, Auburn went on about an 8 to 10 point run. And then, they got the doldrums sank in again. But I went, whoa, David, wait a minute. Bruce Pearl complaining to the officials, the team complaining to the officials?
More than any coach ever?
In the league.
Oh,
in the league.
Please.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Bruce was working.
Yeah.
Now, there again, I wasn't watching the game. I was listening to it, so I couldn't see what was going on between the coaches, the players, and the men in stripes. But the Ole Miss voice of the Rebels, he was not happy.
The radio color analyst is Mark Dukes. Not in any way related to Randolph and Mortimer. I do not know Mark Dukes.
Yeah.
To be perfectly honest, I know Nate has a certain zest for living.
Yeah.
I never really have thought he was over the top. Now, Pearl, the only thing about Pearl that really gets me, he is active on the sidelines, is that other than that woman that Jimmy Swaggart was caught with, he may be the sweatiest person I've ever seen in my life. He's sweating through he's sweating through his jacket and all that kind of stuff, sweating through his sports shirt and everything. But I never have thought, Oates never looks disheveled on the sidelines. Oates always looks, clean. His haircut's fresh. He's got the nice sport coat on. I never have thought him as really being riding the referees that much. Pearl's a mess. Buzz Williams at Texas A&M is very sweaty himself. But Bruce, he's red-faced. He's sweaty. He's active over there. I can get why people think he's maybe overactive, but I never really have thought that about Oates.
I know. Very chirpy, I guess you will, with the officials, kind of letting him know, hey, I'm here, and I didn't like what I just saw.
Sure.
I'll give these two guys a little advice. When I had a ref at the Southeast Y tell me probably the second or third trip down the floor at the start of the game, hey, coach, you better put a muzzle on that assistant coach of yours. I knew right then and there. Setting the tone right here. Here we are, this is 8, 9-year-old girls, and he's getting on me, on my assistant coach, for being a little too loud early in the game. And this was an 8 o'clock game on a Saturday. This ref might have had a long night the night before and really didn't want to come ref a game between 8 and 9-year-old girls. But
yeah,
hey, when that ref sets the tone, you better know quick. Well, he's drawing the line in the sand.
All right. Little halo over your head for the rest of the time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Victoryland 777 topic wheel.
You ready, Chris?
Let's do it, Chris.
All right. Woo, look at all the topics today. All right. Here we go. Where's it land? Nobody knows. Well, there it is. Senior Bowl. Here you ask me, did I watch the Senior Bowl? I mean, really? You knew better than that. No, I did not, but I did read some accounts of it. And I'm detecting a little sugarcoating here, in-state guy. I mean, how many years has an Alabama quarterback played in the Senior Bowl? Seems like every year.
Yeah.
But I can read between the lines. Fan favorite, teammates loved him, throws a great deep ball, but intermediates, short passes, things of that nature, maybe some defenses got him confused. I'm hearing the same things. Now, one of our chatters that watched it says second or third day. I don't know about that. But I still just
no. He'll get drafted. He'll get drafted. Maybe not the first day, which I had heard the whole time that he would be a top 3 pick, and maybe he is. But his draft stock is dropping.
Barry, does
I hate
Jackson
it because he's
Dart
a great kid, but
go ahead of Jalen Milroe?
Yes. Dart. Everybody talks about Dart and his background and battling through injuries and all that early in his career at Ole Miss, along the lines of a Joe Burrow. Now, he's not going to be a number 1 pick, but they really do like him. Here's what they say about Jalen Milroe at AL.com. Milroe entered the Senior Bowl week with a lot of questions and didn't really answer many of them. He's an outstanding runner and throws a beautiful deep ball, but was not sharp on the short or intermediate routes either in practice or on Saturday. But he stayed in there and took all the hits, literally and figuratively, and was by far the most popular player with fans before, during, and after the game. That makes my heart sing. He was the most popular. Thank gosh, because all I see is people giving him crud. Maybe if he wiped his, all I see is people giving him a hard time, John. I love the fact that he was the most popular guy out there.
Yeah, that's good. I'm glad for him. But I don't think
popularity's big.
I don't think NFL general managers care that the fans loved him and he was the most popular. Can he deliver? If we're going to invest the type of money we're going to invest in him, can he win football games for us? I think there are too many questions. I think it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out when the combine rolls around. And yeah, he'll run the 40 in record time and he'll jump higher and further than most everybody else there. But on film, game film, what's that going to show these scouts? And, I hate to, act like I'm beating up on this guy, but hey, it's a big business. Right now, it's even bigger. And you got to make the right decisions. And whether he's the fan favorite or whether, the crowd loved him, no big deal. So what?
Hey, by the way, in this, since we hit on the Senior Bowl, I don't even feel compelled to tell you what the final score was because it didn't mean anything to anybody. Nobody cared who won. No, I can't tell you.
I can't tell you either.
Yeah,
I can't tell you what the score was.
Who won or what the score was. That's
or
all
what happened in the. I was channel surfing yesterday. I don't know how they score the Pro Bowl, but it was like 87-74. I'm thinking, what is it? And that's all I saw. I completely moved on. Right. But I did see those numbers up there, and I'm thinking, who plans their Sunday to watch this stuff? But there again, who knows?
Who knows?
People might say that about us. Wow, who plans their day to watch those two clowns? Hey, you never know. To each his own.
Back to the topic wheel.
Yes, let's go to the Victoryland 777 topic wheel and see what pops up next.
You sounded just like Chuck Barris there.
Chuck Barrett. We'll be back with more stuff. Oh, is it stuck?
Rip it off. Yeah.
Oh, here we go.
Rip the knobs off here.
Yeah. Oh, man. Where's it going to go here? You know what that stands for?
Big licks. Big licks.
That's Game 59.
Oh, okay. There was.
Yes, we're supposed to not call it what it's supposed to be. Barry, this is big game week.
The Kansas City Chiefs and the Philadelphia Eagles are already down in New Orleans, or are headed down today, I think, for the Super Bowl. Sunday, 5:30 on Fox. Will Kansas City become the first NFL franchise ever with a three-peat? Or will the Philadelphia Eagles cap off a dream season and take that game? It shapes up to me to be one of the best ones, one of the best Super Bowls we will have had, although they have played before in the Super Bowl. I love the matchup in this one because they're so different.
Yeah, I'm with you. They are different. I'm with you there. KC, a 1.5-point favorite, been there most of the week.
What is
some big money comes in later?
They say the money line, Kansas City -130, Philadelphia +110.
Yeah, so you put up 130 to win 100 with no point spread involved. Kansas City's just got to win the game.
Yes.
But you got to put up 130 to win that 100. You put up 100 to win 110 if you just think Philadelphia is going to win the game straight up with no points involved. A lot of people like playing the money line, particularly a game like this where the point spread is so small, can take advantage of that. Can you do that here in Alabama? I don't think you can.
You can't.
But hopefully hopefully someday you will, and you'll be able to gamble on sporting events legally, and it'll be regulated, and it will be just like 39 other states are doing, but we'll get into that later. So the big game. I did see a report yesterday, Barry, that as you would expect for a event of this size and of this magnitude, there will be a lot of security in New Orleans, particularly based on what happened on New Year's Eve. Understand there's a lot of security coming in from out of New Orleans, out of the state of Louisiana, that's coming in to assist and aid in the security with the Superdome, with the French Quarter. Understand there's a lot of video surveillance that they've installed around the French Quarter. I ain't got a problem with that. I'm all about security. It's kind of like going through the TSA line. Hey,
no problem. Love those people.
Yeah, sure. You want to X-ray me? Fine. Go to it.
The people at the security, the TSA people at Montgomery Regional Airport, they love John.
Sure.
Because he didn't ever, hey, John knows him by name. Hey, Francine, how are you doing? Hey, you looking good. Have you lost weight, Fred? That kind of stuff. You ain't never going to hear a problem from him or me about security.
Yeah, and I know better, but they'll go, Mr. Longshore, put the wallet in there. Oh, forgot my wallet. Yep. Got to put the wallet in there and let it go through the X-ray as well. So, so there'll be a lot of hyped up security and whatnot, but should be a good game. Yeah. And I'm with you. Two teams that kind of have different styles.
Before we go to a break and try to wrap up the wheel, let's get this. Robbie is talking about Alabama and offense. He says, remember, this is a first-year offense with a new system. It's West Coast based. The other quarterbacks were learning the system. Ty Simpson isn't going anywhere. He's a coach's son.
Huh.
Coach's sons don't go anywhere? Joe Burrow was a coach's son.
Yeah, so was Bo Nix.
So Bo Nix was a coach's son. Peyton Thorne's a coach's son. He says they wanted to go with the best athlete. Big mistake last year. The job will be won on the practice field, not on talk shows like this or
Who?
Robbie. Ain't nobody saying that somebody's going to win the job on the talk show. And just because he's a coach's son, then I don't think Ty Simpson's going anywhere.
They even talk about sports on that show anymore, Robbie. All I hear is a bunch of guys complaining and arguing amongst each other.
Robbie needs to breathe into a paper bag. We'll go to a break. In association with Yellowhammer News, it's Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light.
Book tee time sooner. Save on every round. That's what you get with the 2025 RTJ Trail Card. Destination golf is closer than you might think. Buy a 2025 Trail Card and save every time you play. Plus, you will be automatically entered into the Trails Loyalty Program. Enjoy 10-day advance reservation privileges at each location. 11-day advanced internet tee times on rtjgolf.com and the RTJ app. Enjoy the benefits of a 2025 Trail Card. It makes for a great stocking stuffer, and you save on every round you play in 2025 on the Robert Trent Jones Golf Trail.
In sports, if you think joy only happens after you win, think again. Look at the world's most successful athletes like Serena Williams, Brooks Koepka, and Alex Morgan. They don't spend all their days grinding away. They take time to enjoy themselves, like getting together with friends over a Michelob Ultra, because they know that happiness is the key to winning, and that joy is the whole game, not just the end game. Michelob Ultra. 95 calories, 2.6 grams of carbs. It's only worth it if you enjoy it. Enjoy responsibly. AB Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Hey, this is Barry McKnight from Longshore and McKnight, telling you about our friends at River Region Straw. You're not buying sticks or stems and pine cones. You're buying premium long needle pine straw from River Region Straw. Kenny and his staff have access to the best pine straw in the River Region, full of color, that'll last all season long. They've got locations in Montgomery, Prattville, and Auburn, and no order is too big or too small. From a few bales to an 18-wheeler trailer load, River Region Straw also has seasoned firewood for the cold days and nights ahead. Pickup is available, and your order can be delivered if you like. They can even spread your pine straw if that's what you want to have happen, for sure. Call or text Kenny today, 669-5959. That's 669-5959 for all of your pine straw and firewood needs at River Region Straw.
All right, back at it, about 9 minutes to the top of the hour. Longshore and McKnight. Hey, Chris, you're right. Cam Newton was a preacher's son. You're right about that. We had coaches' sons. We got preacher's sons as well.
I didn't think we could say just saying anymore now that next year's quarterback for the defending national champion Ohio State Buckeyes is Julian Sayin. He was the best thing since sliced bread, but now he's not in Tuscaloosa anymore. I'm just saying. Overrated. I never liked him.
He's not good. Nah.
That's right.
All right. I think we got a couple of more topics on the Victoryland 777 topic wheel. So without further ado, let's see what is on it and see what pops up here today on our topic wheel. What are the three left? Let's do it.
Yeah.
Like the Wheel of Fortune. And here we go. In the green.
We go, Troy.
Nets. I'm coming up with I got to come up with hardwood nets, round ball. I got to come up with hoops. Yeah.
That's pretty good. That's a pretty solid base. Troy beat ULM decisively on Saturday, 87-50. The Trojans closed the 4-game homestand, undefeated on the homestand, solidly in second place in the Sun Belt Conference, only a game out of first. As we go, I think there are 8 games left in the regular season. 6 of them are on the road now. Only 2 more home games left for Troy. They begin a 2-game stretch. We're actually leaving tomorrow after the show. Trojans will head to James Madison on Wednesday. That's a 6:00 start time. The James Madison Dukes are now tied for 3rd, just a game back of Troy. That should be a good one. And then the final of the Sunbelt MAC Challenge, the final set of that. Troy will play at Miami of Ohio on Saturday afternoon, who's pretty good. I think last I saw they were 15-5 and 7-1 in the MAC. Next week, the Trojans get back on the road. They have games next week, big ones against Arkansas State and Louisiana. So
when is Troy back in Troy?
The 2 weeks. 2 weeks. 4 straight games on the road, 2 long trips. I'm going to be doing the show from the road a lot over the next 2 weeks.
Let's say how many different hotels will you be in over the next 2 weeks?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 different ones. And by the time baseball season is over with, I need to tally this up. I will have done this show from baseball season at about 19 different hotels.
Man.
17 different hotels, I think, something like that. So, yep, we're on the road a lot.
Oh,
But
as well,
Troy, right now,
on the road again.
Yep, really, really good. Next action's on Wednesday at James Madison at 6 o'clock. Okay.
There you have it. All right. So we got a big update, big road trip coming. Where's the Sun Belt tournament? Where is that?
It's in Pensacola.
Pensacola,
which is really good for us. You know, Sunbelt's got a bowl game in Montgomery. They've got the men's and women's tournament in Pensacola, which is 2.5 hours south. Love that. And then you've got the, of course, the baseball tournament at Riverwalk Stadium in Montgomery as well. I'm loving the Sunbelt postseason these days.
Fantastic.
Yep.
All right, let's spin it again, Gurn, see what comes up next. Couple of more topics to go as we wrap up on this Monday, and let's see where she spins. And it's going to be, nice flow. And I kind of touched on this a little earlier today.
Oh, I thought you were talking about my haircut. Sorry.
Yeah. I could think of something else too. But anyway, but the NBA.
Yes.
I don't want to get the college game exactly like it, but it was refreshing to see a basketball game where there weren't a lot of whistles blown. And I'm still going to be on this tangent. We talked to several coaches about it. They're not big fans of the whistle either. Where's the happy medium when it comes
where
to
they're not beating each other to
whistles?
death, or there's actually some skill involved, and it doesn't look like, the Detroit Pistons of the 80s, and where there's also some flow to it, a nice flow, as John says. I don't know. Here's the bad thing. Here's something to watch out for. There is talk, there is consideration, serious consideration that will be entertained by the NBA during the offseason to play 4 10-minute quarters instead of the 12. They play 48 minutes. You say, wow, that guy's averaging 31 points a game. Guys in college basketball are averaging 22 at the most. Well, they play 8 more minutes a game in the NBA. They're looking at standardizing everything, where you have 4 10-minute quarters in the NBA, just like you have in women's basketball. Men's basketball plays 40 minutes. International basketball plays 40 minutes. The Olympics play 40 minutes. They're looking to kind of standardize that. The players don't like it because, they get paid based on incentives. You're not going to average 31 points a game if you're playing 8 fewer minutes a game, stuff like that. But just something to watch out for.
Yeah, but they are getting paid to work less because they're going to be working 8 minutes less a game over an 82-game season plus postseason.
True.
And then what do you do about records?
That's right.
Barry, I've been saying that about baseball forever because all the ballparks are different.
Yeah, no kidding.
So if you hit a bunch of home runs and the wall's not as far as it is somewhere, wait a minute, how come that guy's got more home runs? Well, he hits in a park where the fence is only 328 feet.
John used to say at the Biscuits games, he said, man, is this game still going on? I said, John, it's the 7th inning. He said, that's about right. That's about how long they need to last. Well, John, what about all the records and stuff? John said, the heck with records.
Yeah, who cares? Records. They're made to be broken anyway.
There you go. That's what we hear. One more. Here we go.
All right, let's spin it. See what we got. What's last on the wheel today? Got to spin it to make it official. And
that's right.
It is going to it's
Why
landing
are you waiting?
on.
We know what it is.
Oh, SEC hoops.
Hey!
And it is kind of there again, we're going into that Tuesday, Wednesday slate, and it's kind of a light card. There must be multiple teams that have off weeks during the week because this is I'm seeing a pattern here of 3 games on Tuesday, 3 games on Wednesday.
Yep. I think there are 4 teams every week in the SEC that have midweek buys. This week it's Alabama's. Last week, remember, it was Auburn's turn. This week it's Alabama's. Alabama takes a 21-point win over Georgia into a week-long bye before the Crimson Tide will take on Arkansas in Fayetteville on Saturday night. Auburn gets to 20 wins.
Yep.
They are 92-82 winners on Saturday over Ole Miss. Auburn will play again on Tuesday at home against Oklahoma. That's an 8 o'clock start time on the SEC network. Then they're also at home on Saturday against Florida. That is at 3 o'clock.
There you have it.
There you go.
Outstanding. So, man, we got through the wheel today, Curtis. How about that, man? All right, tomorrow, Brian Matthews, auburnsports.com, will join us at the bottom of the first hour here on the program. To kick off hour number 2, our man Travis Ryer on YouTube, Talking Tide with Travis. We'll do that to kick things off in hour number 2. Your chats, your emails, your participation, always encourage that.
Kind of have a little thought, maybe try to get the Ole Miss radio basketball color analyst on there.
Yeah.
John kind of likes the cut of his gym.
No kidding.
So we've got a lot planned for you tomorrow. Thanks to everybody today who has pitched in. We have enjoyed it. Hope you have as well. For John Longshore, I'm Barry McKnight. In association with Yellowhammer News, it's Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud